Ever wonder why so many people over 60 suddenly face dizziness, weak legs, or even worse, a stroke despite doing everything right? You eat what you think is healthy, you take your meds, you walk a few times a week. Yet inside your blood vessels, something quiet and dangerous is happening. Here's the truth. Strokes rarely strike out of nowhere. They build silently, one small daily habit at a time. And today, I'm going to show you 7 everyday habits, little things most seniors do without thinking, that quietly raise your stroke risk every single week. But please don't panic. When you understand these habits, you'll also learn simple fixes that can help keep your blood flowing freely, protect your brain, and even reclaim the steady energy you had 20 years ago. I'm Dr. Hillman. I've treated thousands of older adults, many in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, who thought strokes just run in the family. After a few small changes, I've watched them walk stronger, feel clearer, and stay independent. So before we dive in, tell me down below, where are you watching from and how old are you? I read those comments personally. They help me make every video fit you. Ready? Let's start with what's happening inside your body right now. How stroke risk sneaks up. Picture every blood vessel in your body like a flexible garden hose carrying life-giving blood to your brain. In your 20s and 30s, that hose is smooth and strong. But after 60, tiny cracks can start forming on the inside walls, especially if inflammation or high pressure keeps scraping them day after day. Your body tries to patch these cracks with sticky cholesterol. Over time, those patches can thicken, block blood flow, and boom, part of your brain loses its supply. That's a stroke. Now, here's the hidden truth. It's not only high blood pressure or genetics. It's the quiet, daily choices: your breakfast, your sleep schedule, your hydration, that either heal or damage those vessel walls. Let's go through the 7 everyday habits that secretly push the risk higher. 1. Skipping breakfast or just coffee on empty stomach. Be honest, now how many mornings do you wake up, grab a cup of coffee, and call that breakfast? Ever wonder what happens inside your arteries when you pour caffeine into an empty stomach? Here's what I see in my clinic again and again. You spike your stress hormone, cortisol. Cortisol tightens vessels like squeezing that garden hose. Blood pressure jumps, platelets get stickier. In a 14-month study of 1,200 seniors, those who drank coffee before food had 18% more episodes of elevated blood pressure than those who ate first. Take Harold, 71, retired carpenter. He loved his morning coffee and toast. By 10 a.m., his hands sometimes shook. His doctor found his blood pressure surging to 170. He started eating half a banana and 1 boiled egg before coffee. Within weeks, his readings smoothed out. If you're starting every day with pure caffeine, type guilty in the comments. You're not alone, but it's time to change that. Takeaway: have a few bites of real food before the first sip. It protects your vessels from that morning pressure spike. To not drinking water after you wake up. Your brain is 75% water. Overnight, you breathe out moisture and sweat, losing nearly half a liter. If you don't replace it, your blood thickens, literally becomes stickier, making it harder to flow through narrow arteries. Think of syrup versus water in a straw. Which one moves easier? Dehydration alone can raise stroke risk by up to 30% in adults over 65. According to one European study of 2,400 seniors, Margaret, 66, from Montana, hardly drank any water, only coffee. She often felt lightheaded when gardening. Just adding 2 cups of water each morning improved her energy within days. Takeaway: before coffee or breakfast, drink at least 1 glass of water. Simple, powerful. Comment below, water first, if you're making that your new habit. 3. Eating white bread or refined cereal for breakfast. White bread tastes comforting, doesn't it? But here's the shocking part. Its refined flour acts almost instantly like sugar in your bloodstream. That sugar surge scrapes the inside of arteries, and insulin rushes in to fix it. Repeated every morning, It keeps vessel walls inflamed, soft targets for clots. A 12-month study of 1,800 seniors found those eating refined grains daily had 27% higher carotid plaque buildup than those who switched to oats or whole grain toast. Lorraine, 63, an office secretary, couldn't climb stairs without huffing. She swapped her white toast for oats with berries and a few walnuts. 6 months later, she'd lost 7 pounds and her blood pressure dropped 15 points. That surprises you? Comment, shocked. Takeaway: white bread isn't harmless, it silently irritates your arteries. Swap it for fiber-filled alternatives. So far, we've talked about coffee on an empty stomach, skipping water, and those soft white breads and cereals that act like sugar grenades in your arteries. Let's keep going. The next ones are just as common and just as sneaky. For sitting too long without moving, let me ask you this. Ever sit in your favorite chair, turn on the TV, and suddenly realize 2 hours have passed and you haven't stood up once? Most seniors don't know this, but long, still sitting is like putting a crimp in that garden hose we talked about earlier. Blood slows down, especially in your legs. When blood moves slowly, it's as easier for clots to form, and clots are the bullets that can shoot up to your brain and cause a stroke. In a large study of older adults, those who sat the longest each day had a much higher risk of heart and blood vessel problems, including stroke, compared with those who broke up their sitting time with light movement. Think about Frank, 74, a retired bus driver. Every afternoon, he'd drop into his recliner after lunch, turn on the news, and stay there. His ankles swelled. His legs felt heavy. One day, he stood up too fast, got dizzy, and nearly fell. When we talked, we made one simple change. Every 30 minutes, he set a kitchen timer. When it rang, he stood up, marched in place for 1 minute, or walked to the kitchen and back. Within a month, his swelling improved and he felt steadier on his feet. Takeaway: if you sit for long stretches, your blood slows and your stroke risk quietly creeps up. Stand, stretch, or walk for just 1 or 2 minutes every half hour. If you know you sit a lot, type "I'll move more" in the comments. That simple promise could change your future. 5. Too much salt, especially at night. Ever wonder why your feet or hands sometimes look puffy in the morning? Salt is sneaky. It hides in canned soups, frozen dinners, sauces, and even healthy snacks. When you eat too much salt, your body holds on to extra water. That raises your blood volume and pushes harder against your artery walls, like turning up the faucet pressure on that garden hose. High blood pressure is one of the strongest stroke risks we know. Over time, all that pressure damages the delicate inner lining of your arteries, especially the ones that feed your brain. A large global study found that people who ate more refined foods and processed products, often loaded with salt, had a much higher risk of heart disease and stroke. Let me tell you about Rosa, 69, who loved her canned chicken noodle soup every night. It was easy, it was cheap, but her blood pressure stayed around 160/90ths, even with medication. We looked at the label together. One bowl had almost her entire recommended daily salt. She was shocked. She switched to low-salt homemade soup, more vegetables, beans, and herbs. Within 3 months, her blood pressure dropped enough that her doctor lowered one of her medications. Takeaway: too much salt quietly hammers your arteries and raises your stroke risk. Start checking labels, especially on soups, frozen meals, and snacks. Choose low sodium when you can. If you hardly ever look at labels, comment labels next to remind yourself that this is your next step. 6. Poor sleep and late-night snacking. Here's one most people ignore. Ever stay up late, snacking in front of the TV, then sleep badly and wake up tired? When you don't sleep well, your body never fully resets. Stress hormones stay high. Blood pressure doesn't get its normal nighttime dip. That means your arteries never get a break. Some studies show poor sleepers have higher rates of stroke and heart disease, especially when paired with late-night eating and excess weight. Your body is trying to rest, but you reforcing it to digest stand that can spike blood sugar and blood pressure right when they should be calming down. Take Daniel, 72. He often fell asleep in his chair around 11 p.m., woke up at midnight, and then raided the kitchen cookies, crackers, or a bowl of cereal. By morning, he was exhausted. His blood pressure machine showed high numbers day after day. We made 2 changes. No big snacks after 8 p.m., a simple wind-down routine. Lights dimmed, TV off, a warm herbal tea, and bed at the same time every night. Within weeks, his sleep improved. His morning blood pressure dropped. He felt calmer and more alert during the day. Takeaway: poor sleep and late-night snacking keep your blood pressure high and your arteries inflamed, quietly raising stroke risk. Build a simple bedtime routine and close the kitchen earlier. If you struggle with sleep, write "need better sleep" below so we can talk more about that in future videos. 7. Skipping breakfast altogether. Now, remember earlier, we talked about coffee on an empty stomach. Here, ask the bigger picture. Skipping breakfast entirely is one of the most dangerous habits for your heart and brain. Most seniors don't know this, but large studies show that adults who regularly skip breakfast have a much higher risk of dying from heart disease and stroke than those who eat breakfast every day. In some research, people who never ate breakfast were more than 3 times as likely to die from stroke. Why? When you skip breakfast, your body stays in stress mode longer. Blood sugar swings. You're more likely to overeat later in the day. Skipping breakfast is also linked with other risky habits like smoking, drinking more alcohol, and moving less. Let's look at Evelyn, 68. She told me, "I'm too busy in the morning, doc. I'll just grab something at lunch." Her labs showed higher cholesterol, higher blood pressure, and borderline blood sugar. We started small, half a cup of Greek yogurt with a few berries and nuts in the morning. That was it. Over time, she noticed she wasn't as hungry at night. Her energy evened out, and her numbers began to improve. Takeaway: skipping breakfast doesn't save you time. It quietly increases your risk of stroke and heart disease. Your brain and arteries need fuel early in the day. If you often skip breakfast, type "no more skipping" in the comments. That small promise can be powerful. Most seniors I meet say something like, "Doc, I wish I had known this 20 years ago." And I always answer the same way. I'm glad we're talking about it today, because here's what I've seen with my own eyes. Minus 79-year-olds who started walking every half hour and saw their energy grow. 82-year-olds who finally made peace with breakfast and stabilized their blood sugar and blood pressure. Widows and widowers who thought their life was winding down, then discovered that a few new habits gave them years of better brain function and independence. You do not have to be perfect. You don't have to change all 7 habits overnight. Just start with 1. Maybe it's water first. Maybe it's no more skipping breakfast. Maybe it's stand up every 30 minutes. Pick one and write it in the comments right now. Simple action plan you can start today. Let's turn everything into an easy plan. Tomorrow morning, drink 1 glass of water when you wake up. Eat a small real breakfast within an hour: an egg, yogurt, or oats. Have your coffee after a few bites of food. During the day, 4. Set a 30-minute timer to remind you to stand and move. 5. Check 1 label for salt and choose a lower sodium option. Tonight, 6. Try to stop eating 2 to 3 hours before bed. 7. Turn off bright screens at least 30 minutes before you sleep. That's it. No fancy gadgets, no complicated rules. Just small, powerful steps that respect your brain and your arteries. Outro: identity, plus strong call to action. Dr. Hillman, steady, encouraging. Most people will watch a video like this, nod their head, maybe feel a little scared, and then change nothing. But you are not most people. If you're still here with me, that tells me you care about your future. You care about walking on your own, remembering your grandchildren's faces, staying in your own home as long as possible. So here's what I want you to do right now. Comment day 1 if today is the day you start changing at least one of these 7 habits. Tell me which habit you're going to work on first: skipping breakfast, sitting too long, too much salt, poor sleep, or something else? Hit the like button so this video reaches more seniors who need this information. Subscribe and turn on the little bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Because in my next video, I'm going to show you one simple 60-second leg exercise that helps your blood pump better, supports your brain, and can double the power of these new habits. If you want a stronger brain, better balance, and a lower stroke risk, you do not have to be perfect. You just have to start. This is Dr. Hillman, and I'm proud of you for being here today. I'll see you in the next video.